to the DMV and the rest of the world. This is your girl Reese, aka the best that ever did it. And we have a fantastic show for you all today. It's a very good topic that we all should take heed and sit down and listen to. But first, let me introduce my awesome, awesome co-host, the very beautiful Bernice Smith.
Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody is well, and we're going to dig into this topic and hope that it helps everybody.
Yes. And of course, we got our super producer here with us today, Mr. Molly Mall. He's
I'm
always in
in
the
here.
back.
I'm in the
Oh,
back.
he's out today.
I'm in
Yay.
here. You know me.
Usually he's in the back
Only
working
BC Ree and Lady B.
very hard. And today we have a special guest that want to sit in and chime in with us. And I love it, love it. This is a person who deals with anger attitude all the time. Whether it's his anger or somebody else's anger. That's because he tell you the truth on his viewpoint and how it is and how he see things. And that makes people mad sometimes. So I'd like to welcome Mr. Ronald the Truth Hunt to the show this morning.
What's up, Reese? What's up, B?
Good morning.
Hey, first of all, I want to say I'm the one to keep saying fix that buzzing in the background. Make sure you handle it. If I got to come over there today to do it, you make sure you handle that today.
Well, he offered to fix it. bring the tall ladder.
I have a ladder. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Look, he was just offering to fix the buzzer, y'all. That's all. The battery. All righty. So we're gonna get back to the show. Sit back and relax. And I'm gonna turn it over to my beautiful co-host, Miss Lady B, Miss Bernice Smith. Floor is yours, boo.
So this morning we're going to be talking about diffusing your anger. Um, Finding out where it stems from is very important because it can stem from many things: childhood trauma, depression. It can come in many forms. So today we just want to address it, see what we can do to heal from it, and move forward. So we're gonna share some clips, and we're gonna dive into it and get different aspects because we have a male as our special guest, and of course we have Molly. So they're gonna chime in, and we're gonna get to it.
All
All
right
right.
now.
So we need a video. We need a clip first. We're gonna get into it after the clip.
Test of emotion once again, and your emotion goes way up. So what we did was we developed a number of skills for it. Okay. One of the skills, this is hard to believe that it works so well, but actually it does work, as it turns out. I learned this from a course I took in spirituality, actually. And it had to do with the concept of willing hands. So willing hands are when you put your hands like this. I'll show them to you right up there. Okay. It's like this. Okay. Now, if you get angry and you're trying to get your anger to go down. So this is when you've already convinced them that getting their anger to go down is a good idea. So I'll come back to what you do if you can't convince them of that. But then what you do is you can tell a person to put their willing hands by their side or on their knees. It turns out it's really a miracle. It's very difficult to stay angry with willing hands. I had a friend from Europe calling me up after I taught it to him. And he said, "Oh my God, Marsha, I can't be angry anymore. This is really terrible. I've lost my ability to be angry." I said, "Well, that's good. Keep doing willing hands." So that's a really good strategy for all of us. Okay. It's extremely good if you're at a meeting.
Can you stand up and show me by your side what you mean?
By the side, you just have willing hands like this.
I see. Okay. And could you push your chair back for a moment and show me on your knees? I'll tell you when I can see you. Push back further. Okay. I see. Okay. Okay.
So
Thank you.
I'll give you a really good story on that. This particular person was an adolescent. She was about, she wasn't that young, actually. She was probably 18 or something. She and a bunch of her friends had gone shopping. Okay. So when she went shopping, the person that she was buying from was really mean to her. Why? I don't know. But when she told me and they told me what this person had said, it really was mean. Okay. So she was telling me, she said, I was staying there, Marcia, and I was starting to get really angry at her. And then I remembered you and I made willing hands and my anger immediately went down. Okay. So if you can get a person to believe that one of their problems is anger and that reducing anger is in their interest, then you can get them to practice this.
Okay. Well, for me, speaking on diffusing anger, I think different things work for different people. So I've never heard of this willing hands things, but I know for me, this is just my outlook. I think it's different for African Americans. It really is. For me, I know what works for me. I've learned that I have to address what it is that's angering me. But more so, I had to dig a little deeper and see why I have so much bottled up anger. So that's what began the healing process for me. So writing helps me because my pen speaks words that sometimes I shouldn't. So I write it down, I get it out, and I can start processing the information and move forward. What about you, Reese? Do you know
Well,
what works for you?
yeah, for me, years and years, to me, therapy helps. But I don't think I would try the technique that she did. I try to pray and I try to understand what it is that's making me angry and why I'm angry. And most times I found out that we are why we are angry. The way we handle things, or maybe the way we process things, our anger comes from within a lot of times. So getting to the root of things in us will control your anger, so you won't be mad at the simple stuff or the simple people of the world. Once you know who you are, it's like a piff and light goes off. But because we're human, do I still get angry sometimes? Yeah, hell yeah, because I'm human. But do I have a better sense of who I am now and controlling the anger? Hell yes. I don't let things take me off the chart like it used to, because I used to be the angry type that will fight you, break up some stuff, damage. I used to be that, like Hulk smash. And I had to go years of anger therapy, anger management, and I had to deal with stuff like that. So definitely, yeah, it's within me. That's what angers me. So
So,
start with me first.
yeah. Ron, you gonna speak on the male aspect? Tell me what you think.
Well, from the beginning, you got grown men and little you got grown men that's in little boys temper tantrums as far as how they act. Because if you notice, a man only acts out what he fear, and what he fear is himself. And if you don't know yourself, you're gonna fear everything that comes your way. So this is why people act out. From a man standpoint, I could say for myself, it took me time to realize who I was, because you go in and out of relationships thinking that's going to heal you, but really that's only bringing more pain to you, because you're only putting a band-aid on the situation. So for example, you can go into a relationship thinking you're happy, thinking y'all give to each other, but at the same time, there's still brokenness there, there's still pain there. And one thing you have to deal with self. And I know a lot of adults don't like dealing with self. And this is why I always say accountability, because if you don't hold yourself accountability to what you're doing in your life, you're always gonna make excuses why you're not successful in your life. And success can come in many ways. But the thing about it is, how can you be successful in a relationship when you don't know yourself, and because you have so much anger built up within you. Now that you have this anger built in within you, now you're starting to act like a kid as far as your actions. You fight all the time, you argue all the time, you belittle somebody, you do crazy things to each other. Why? It's because both of you, or some of you, have not took the time to deal with you. You know, people always can put on fronts. People always can put on like they got it together. Don't Anybody that's on this earth don't have their life together. You can be in your 50s, 60s and still don't know who you are. So this is why I say anger comes from within, but at the same time, how long you been holding this anger in? Because all they do is got to take one thing to trigger you off. And once they trigger you off, then that's when you see that person who they really are for. I ain't gonna talk that long. I'm gonna be brief with it.
Well, for me, I know, and this is just in learning myself. Trauma was the key that opened the door to my anger, to my fears, and from me not dealing with it early on, I tended to carry it with me. I was angry about so many things, um, and I left it unaddressed. So it made me angry. It and what people don't realize is tradition is like a form of slavery in many ways. And I don't think that my grandparents intended on, putting burdens on me that they clearly didn't understand that I couldn't carry as a child. I just believe that they were giving what they were taught. And until trauma is transformed, it is passed on. So for me, that was me learning how to deal with, oh, my dad didn't want to be a part of my life. Oh, I didn't fit into the family, dynamic. So I was angry. I always wondered why. I always questioned it, but then I learned how to deal with it. And I think I was 40 when I first started addressing it, which was 9 years ago. So I think it comes in many aspects, and definitely for me, I know that because of what I went through, I did pass some things on to my kids, because my oldest son, his therapist told him, he said, you saw your mother so broken that now you attach yourself to women who are broken.
Mm.
Do you think that's something I wanted to pass on to my son? No way in the world. Now, had I been taught to address it, I might have been better off as a mother. Not saying I'm a failure, because I raised some good men. But in the same token, there are things that I experienced that I didn't want them to experience. And now I see the anger and frustration within them. So it can definitely be passed on.
I got you.
Agree, agree, sister, and you are absolutely right, because I too, uh, I hate to say this, I too, because one of our viewers tell me, you always say me too, me too, I too. Well, hell, I've been through a lot. So if you've been through a lot, you're going to say, yeah, me too, I too. So for those of y'all who who say, she always say me too, I too. If I experience, I experience. Okay, but I feel the same way you feel about, you said, like from the childhood trauma, putting a lot on you, and then you pass it off to your son. Because I got a son too, and I believe that's what a lot of that transference is coming from. Because not too long ago, with me and my son had a situation. I said, don't let the world use you like it used me. In other words, I seen him getting into this bad thing, and I was reaching out to him. I said, don't let the people use you like they did me, because you seen people how they used me, how they mistreated your mama. And I did not want him to take that energy, and I did not want to transfer it on him. You know what I mean? Like what you said was and that was the key. And I never thought about it to that way till you just said that maybe that's why the disconnect is with me and my child. Who's a grown man now. But I never thought that about that, Bernice, that he's seen how other people mistreated me, which probably made him angry. And he's holding on to that and everything. I just, wow, never wanted that to fall on him either. Mm.
Why are you quiet? What's on your mind?
Well, I'm listening at the same time. It's like raindrops. We, as parents, are protective of our children, but as
Right.
parents, we allow our problems to come down on our kids like raindrops. Even though we have that umbrella, our kids are still getting wet with our problems. And we don't realize they're getting wet until we look down and see that the pain that will cause our kids in the long run. Because you got to remember, our kids are taking pictures of us as they go through their journey. And if you see some parents say, my kids are out of order, you got to look at yourself, because you got to remember, now you got to retrack all your footsteps that you did to see where you went wrong and showing and developing your child. Because if, first of all, if the child, let's say a young woman, if she sees her mother being out here sleeping with every dude, and every dude is coming to the house, this is how she perceives. She's taking pictures. So as she get older, she's building anger up inside. So she filled up because she's angry with her mother. Now her mother's not realizing the raindrops is coming down on her child. So now her child grows up to be a fresh boy. Why? It's because the raindrops that the mother thought she's protecting her child, now she's become soaking wet with her problems.
Yeah, I mean, I do understand that much because for me, um, my son's father went to jail and served 16 years. So in that, I became the protector, and I was aggressive with it. Don't play with my children. Period. You know what I'm saying? So what I see in my kids, and it's crazy because I see more the good of me than the bad side. So I feel like, they say, okay, well, mommy went through this. I'm not gonna go through this, but I'm gonna take care of mommy, in that aspect, because I see the big hearts and I see the intelligence and their will to survive. And I see all these good things in them, so I think though they seen me, though they watched as I went through so much turmoil, um, they pick and choose their battles wisely. And that's a thing for me where I see the strength in them, because I had to have strength to go through what I went through and what they saw me go through as far as being homeless and, you know, the disconnect from my family, things of that nature. And they saw it. And my son who passed, I saw that he was so much like me in the aspect where he ain't like people too much. He like, okay, I'm good. I'm better by myself. He had the chosen few, which they're some of my attributes, because I disassociated myself with people to protect myself. So I understand that they can watch some things, but in the same token, some children take it and turn it around, because with me, I didn't get the love that I needed. So I said, I'm going to make sure that I'm there for my children, that whatever I do, I support them in what they do, that I remind them of who they are, their strength and all that. I won't just point out the bad and tell them who they should be, because there's so much more to them than what people see. So, that's my outlook on that.
Okay.
We got another video.
As soon as that cup hit the floor, the anger was upon me. You know that saying about seeing red? It was just like that for me. The thing is, part of me knew it wasn't even a big deal.
Anger is a normal emotion which we all experience from time to time. In certain situations, anger is reasonable and can be an effective response. The key is in managing our arousal and taking responsibility for our behaviour. When anger is brief and in proportion to the situation, it can be adaptive and useful, signalling that there is a problem and prompting us to act in an effective way to resolve it. Because anger ties into our body's fight or flight response, when we experience anger, our brain releases stress chemicals. Blood also diverts from our brain to our muscles, and we become more prepared for action. In the event of a real threat, this response can help us physically defend ourselves. However, when triggered by a situation in which fight or flight is not necessary, Anger can be ineffective as it reduces our thinking space and our choice to respond in an optimal way. When anger becomes out of control or our default setting, it undermines our resilience and reduces optimal responses. Not only can explosive anger lead to fights or saying things we later regret, it can also be physically draining, affecting our concentration and the quality of our relationships.
Taking that step back and looking at things more objectively was what made the difference. It gave me a chance to think and ask myself, is my reaction reasonable? Is it helpful? It let me actually decide how to react without just reacting on instinct.
In order to maintain our choice in any given situation, we need to take responsibility for our anger and practice skills to deal with it effectively. This leads to better management of stressful situations and better outcomes for ourselves and for those around us.
Okay. So I for me with the anger thing, I think it's getting past it. Learning how to deal with it. We all know that we can have uh situations that can trigger anger, but how do we learn to deal with it and not allow it to affect our health? Because anger definitely affects our health. In the long run, if you keep it and you're stressed out and things of that nature, how do you find your place of peace where you can heal from that and move forward? Because a lot of times we allow our anger to attack people who aren't responsible for what we've been through or what we're going through. So how do we move forward in this walk and learn to heal, to learn how to deal with the situation without the uh been a ticking time bomb? Because we all have a trigger, and I know for me a trick. I don't For me, because of what I've been through, like certain things. When I got married, my husband was playing with me and he grabbed me in a certain way and I was triggered. I picked up my straight razor because of what I had been through, so I had to learn how to get past that. So when my husband touched me, I could allow him to love me the way I should have been loved all along. So how do we get there? What do we use to? Because I use therapy. I use writing. Sometimes it's music. Sometimes it's isolating myself. So I can come back to me and find that inner peace, because the last thing I want is to have a stroke or a heart attack because I couldn't control my anger. So how do we get there? Anybody?
Oh, okay. Um,
This Reese
well,
show, I can't go beyond what she allowed me to do. So this her show.
no. Bernice is the chief matriarch of the show today. Miss Bernice is running things today, Sir Ron. But uh, for me, is the biggest part of that video that we just saw was owning it, taking onus of us, what we do, because we are the root. Only we can control us, right? And it's
Right.
not good to let nobody else control us with their words or with their actions. none of that. Only you can control you. So it starts by, if you would have dealt with the trauma, controlling you when he grabbed you, you would have already dealt with that trauma, and you wouldn't have felt um that way. That when you was about to cut him too short, to it wouldn't have started you like that because you've already dealt with what's in you. And like you said, therapy helps. And also I found out prayer and meditation helps. And
Mm-hmm.
we got to teach our therapeutic ways. We have to teach it to our children and the next generation so they know how to control their anger and stuff. Because this world is full of hurt. This world, just living in this world, is going to make you angry, and you got to get control of you. We got to take onus of that. Stand up and take control of that. I want to say good morning to Gurley, Slicky, Molly, Ron, and to somebody else that I'm trying. Kenneth, good morning to you all. Thank you guys for tuning in and listening to the show. I'm glad that you're here and you're listening. But if you could please like and share the show, because it's not enough that you guys come in and listen. Share it with your friends, and they share it with their friends, and so on and so on. So we could really get to where we need to be with the show and reach who we need to reach. Because I know y'all know a lot of people that needs to hear this about anger, even if it's yourself, your family members, your friends, your co-workers. This is a powerful topic, and I want to thank you, Miss Bernice. And a lot of people need to hear this for real, especially this time of year. Go ahead, Bernice. Right.
Okay, I want to hear what Ron has to say.
Well, first of all, one thing I've noticed is that we only can hold ourselves accountable for what our action calls us to do.
Right.
So, and one thing I've noticed is with adults, so-called adults, they don't like to be held accountable because, for one, who are you to judge me? Who are you to tell me this? Who are you to tell me that? But we got to remember, if we are here doing reckless things and we
Mm-hmm.
already have anger inside of us, who you think's gonna look at us and say that I want to, she on point. Yeah, she right. But the whole time she's dispersing her anger on you. Now you have become her or him. So now
Mm-hmm.
that you affected everybody, I think anger is like cancer, because if a person you with someone and they angry from that phone call, you're gonna ask them what's wrong, but then at the end of the day, you're gonna find yourself being angry with something you don't even know why you're angry. Because you have to look at this stuff. You have to be careful who the people that you associate with. You have to be careful of your surrounding with people who say they are healed from their pain. Um, sometimes people say they got their pain under control, but their actions say something totally different. Because at the end of the day, have you really controlled your anger? Because all it do is take a quick second for you to snap. For prime example, if we are out and we see something that, like, for example, we see a man hitting a woman, that's automatic going to trigger us in our anger. But yet, some would say, well, that don't have nothing to do with me. It does have something to do with you. Why? Because it triggers something in you by you seeing that, because that's what you've been through. If you've been through abuse with a man hitting on you, and you see something that's going to trigger something, it's automatically going to make you angry, because why? You've been down that road and now you know what she's going through. So I want to reverse the roles a little bit, because men get abused by women too. It gets
Okay.
all the time, but it's not talked about. You see what I'm saying? And you got most men out here allow their woman to beat them because they love that woman so much until they get pushed to their max, and then they end up doing something to the woman. So we as human beings, we can be angry, but don't allow us to get us in trouble. That's how you know you got control of your anger. When you allow it, don't make you look ignorant in the streets, make yourself be embarrassed. And then when you know us black folks, we arguing out there in the streets, we don't care, because we gonna be like, I don't care, I don't care. But at the end of the day, when you come home, before you lay your head on that pillow, you were like, man, I did something foolish today. That's how you know you holding yourself accountable. People just don't like holding themselves accountable. This is why you have so much anger amongst adults and our young kids.
Yeah, well, I'm being a mother of 9. Like I said, I have experienced the different reasons why my children can be display anger. And one, losing their father. That's a tough spot for them. So they're angry. They don't understand why and things of that nature. So again, because I'm one of the Black people. Like I said, when I got married, it was 2002. It was 2002. So from that, I learned a whole lot. And the thing about it is, my husband helped me heal. He stepped in and he helped me heal. And we did that for each other because he was going through his own trauma and I was going through my trauma. And that's how we were able, even in divorce, to remain best friends. We how can I say it? We were balanced. Our marriage didn't work, but our friendship stood until he passed. So it's different levels to it. It definitely is. And the thing about it is, mental health is so important, and people attach this stigma to it. So when we're feeling something and we don't know how to control it, we like, okay, well, I'm gonna suppress it and I'm gonna be all right. What happens when you become that ticking time bomb and you don't know what to do with all that you're feeling? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not one of those women. I'm not standing outside looking stupid, all crazy. I'm like, okay, boo, that's how you feel. That's me. You know what I'm saying? Because I've learned how to, oh, it's not worth it. I'm not doing all that. I'm not making myself look stupid, that type of thing. But in the same token, I'm still that one. If you piss me off and it get to a certain extent, I'm like, look, let me tell you something, So I think it's just learning how to address the anger. Like now, I'm like, look, I don't have time to deal with that. If that's who you want to be, if that's how you want to treat me, again, disassociate myself because I want to be in a place of peace. But that came through me addressing the problem, me seeing who I am and how it changed me in a negative form, and going to therapy, talking about it, addressing it, because honestly, people will see you angry and be like, oh, they acting like animals. No, sometimes it gets to a point where you need to put somebody in their place, and you don't have to be all you MF and go all wild, but you have to put somebody in their place, even in a moment of anger, to let them know enough is enough. So we have to distinguish what anger is inappropriate and what anger is justifiable. And we have to deal with it from there and walk through it. Because like I said, accountability is very important. So I hold myself accountable for my actions. But in some cases, some people can't. Accountability is their medication. Accountability is therapy. Accountability could be a lot of things to different people. So we have to look at it from every aspect. It's not always people wanting, oh, I'm going to do what I want. It's not always that. But we're holding a lot of stuff in, and I speak on behalf of my sons. I can't speak as a man, but I see what they go through as Black men. They're getting it from every side. And I told these women, I said, let me tell you something. If you don't speak life into our Black men, you might as well be pulling the trigger, baby. Because we can't consistently tear each other down and expect our partners or whoever to adhere to our needs when you're not being that peace that they need. So it's a lot of different aspects to this thing. And for me, it's very important because my son, like I said, he took his life in December. He was a family clown. He always laughed. He always made sure everybody was good. But in the end, he got tired. So I can't speak on his thoughts at that moment, but I knew who he was as a person. He was kind, he was loving, but did he have anger issues? Yes, sir. When you pushed him, he definitely had those that don't play with me, but he wasn't out here. He wasn't being reckless. My son wasn't in the street. But we have to learn to distinguish and not put everybody in one bucket and say, okay, you angry, so you're a thug and you're an idiot. No, we are human. We have emotions. It's just learning how to deal with them, learning how to address them, and learning how to heal each other. Because hurt people hurt people. And that's the gist of it. I ain't mean to talk so much. I'm sorry, y'all.
No, it's all good. We just trying to get the host to talk.
Yeah,
I just feel, no, I'm gonna leave it alone. But at the same time,
Ron.
I just feel like right now, I just feel right now that society, yes, we know society has put a lot of pressure on us, but at the same time, out of all this, where is the prayers? Where is the crying out? Where is the help that we need from the Lord? Nobody's not even talking about that no more.
Yeah, most people don't talk about it. Want me to tell you why? Because the church is failing. I was raised in church from birth. A lot of the churches are failing our people. You sitting up in the pews, but the people who need you is in the streets. The Bible says that Jesus went out into the streets. He talked to the sinners. He dwelled among them. But the church is too busy with their cliques and worried about titles. Worried about titles instead of worrying about healing and praying for people. I'm gonna tell you, because when my son died, I went to church a few times. And after that, I said, okay, I'm done. You want to know why? Because this has been a cycle. This has been a cycle. And I go to church sometimes. I'm like, Lord, I don't want to see this. I just come to give you praise. Please stop showing me this stuff. But it's so prevalent in the church. And people need to come off their high horses and stop the judgment. And because God's greatest commandment is love. So where is the love? Where is the compassion? Where is the prayers? Because one thing I could say about my grandmother and my aunt, they were some praying women. We don't have that anymore. They go to church and they pray, but once you get home, you sitting there alone. Who do you call when you need somebody? Because I called my old pastor and know what happened? Nothing. So even though I'm not in church, God is everything to me. And so I speak love into these young men who are hanging on a corner. I let them know, if you need me, my door is open. See, my house is a safe place because God is.
You have somebody come in and change that alarm then, if that's a safe place. Have them come in and put that new battery in it.
You worried about that. I'm talking about souls, bro. My son, honestly, my oldest son, he come in here and he say, Mom, I got you. But he be so tired from work. He forget, he talk to his kids. And once he talk to his kids and he ain't never relaxing.
No, I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with
you. Bernice, Ron got a question for Slicky. Ron, you ready for Slicky question?
Yeah.
It says,
hold on.
Prepare yourself.
Yeah, because I know Slicky gonna do something, try to poke the bear, but go ahead.
He said, Ron, have you been abused by a man because the gangster is listening?
What?
Yes.
Have you been abused by men, Ron?
Yes, I was abused by my dad. And I'm not ashamed to talk about it. But
that's
at
king.
the same time, if I can say something right now positive for my dad, I love my dad. Because the scriptures say only the mother and our father days will be long on the earth. But at the same time, I wish no harm to my dad, but I can't be around my dad. You know what I mean? Because of what he took me through. And what I failed to realize as I was getting older is that I didn't look at the pain that he had to suffer. And sometimes it goes back. This is why I don't hate my dad. This is why I can say with a clear heart that I love my dad, because I took time to think about what his past was and to deal with it. He never dealt with his past, his anger, his frustration. So this is why I was a human punching bag, because of his frustration. So now that made me became anger. And when I became angry, I did dumb things in my actions. And now my actions got me locked up. My actions got me in big trouble. My actions got me to places where I didn't want to be. So the thing about it, yes, I was abused by a man, my dad, mentally and physically. But at the same time, I had to call on God, cry out, because at the same time, that what he's done would have made me hate him even more. So the thing about it is, I can say with a clear heart that I'm clear from that. Because why? It's because I did have the help of the Lord. Because one thing I know, parents don't have the answer to us how they raise us. They only can go by what they've been taught. And what they've been taught is you provide, you provide, you provide. And that's all he had in his mind is, I got to provide for my 3 kids. So now that he's saying he got to provide, he doesn't see the mistakes he's making in the process. The gaps, the potholes. So now once the potholes have not been covered up, and when I mean covered up, been dealt with, been sit down and talk about it. So this is why I can say that as a man today, this is why I love my daughters so much. It's because I didn't want them to feel what I felt growing up. So now I take that, what I had as called hate, I turn into love and reverse it to my daughters. And now I can say that with a clear conscience, that this is why I want the best for people. No matter what you say about me, no matter what you do to me, I still got to show love to you in spite of. Because I know one thing for sure, and 2 things for certain. You reap what you sow.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And I definitely relate, because growing up, I heard so many different stories about my life. And it's crazy because when I was praying about it, it was just easy as, if you went through that, imagine what your mom went through. And I actually told my kids, I say, your older brother done seen things y'all can never imagine. You know, he was there. He was the firstborn. And then it turned around and I said, well, my older sister, imagine what she went through. So it's definitely that process of forgiving and moving forward, because at one point, you know, I didn't want to address it. I just wanted it to let sleeping dogs lie. But it's important to address it and to forgive, because forgiveness is for you. It's definitely for you.
Okay.
Reese?
I got a person called Get Black With Me. He said, what he said is really profound. I'm gonna read it, but right after I read Get Black With Me, I want to go to this last video, because that's
Okay.
important for us to know for the kids. He said, if society is toxic, church will be too, because church is a part of society. He said he said society is ill, like the brother basically said. So he's talking about, Ron, you was on point when you said society is sick. And of course, church going to be sick because all society is up there in church. Okay, with that being said, let's go to the last clip.
That you ended up doing something that you really regretted afterwards? I've done that so many times, I can't even count them. When we lose our temper, we lose some control of our minds and bodies at that moment. That's just what anger can do to us. It takes over us and makes us say and do things that we would normally never say or do, because we're not fully thinking straight when we're mad. Which is why we need to learn to manage anger, right? That way, we're always in control of what we say and do, and there wouldn't be any regrets later on. So, how do we go about managing our anger? Well, whenever I get mad, I like to practice what I call the ABCDE steps. There are 5 steps which help me manage my anger. A stands for awareness. Before I can do anything about my anger, I first have to be aware of it. If not, anger just takes over and it's like I'm on a roller coaster, but not at all a fun one. So when I feel myself getting mad, I focus on the anger. And I even think to myself, oh, look, I'm starting to lose my temper. B stands for breathing. Once I'm aware that I'm getting angry, the next thing is to do something about it. So I breathe. I take deep breaths, as many as I need to take to start to calm my body down. In fact, deep breathing is not only good for when you're feeling mad, but also when you're feeling sad or nervous. Try it, it really does work. C stands for counting. I count in between my deep breaths. So it goes kind of like this. 1, 2. You get the idea. D stands for distance. If I've done it right, by the time I've done steps A, B, and C, I've calmed down enough to not need it. But if I'm still feeling out of sorts, I'll put some distance between myself and the person that made me mad. Usually, I'll go for a walk outside. And E stands for express. No, not the express train, but expressing myself. Now that I'm calmer and more in control of my emotions, I express my anger and the reasons for my anger to the other person. Basically, I make sure they understand the cause of my anger and we talk about it. Talking about anything, especially something that's upsetting, is very important because you both get to see each other's point of view and talk it out. So there you go. That's A, B, C, D, E. Want to recap? A stands for being aware that you're angry. B, deep breathing. C, counting to 10 real slow. D, distance between yourself and the person that made you mad. And E, expressing yourself. Try these 5 steps the next time you lose your temper and let me know how it goes. I would really love to hear from you. You can leave me a comment in the comment section below or write me an email to mayoni@jammyspree.com. Share this video with anyone you think might
That's cool. It makes definite sense. But speaking on the brother's comment, yes, society is in church, but in the same token, we're talking about responsibility again. Bible says, when I was a child, I spoke as a child. I acted as a child. So there should definitely be growth. There shouldn't be a continuance of misbehavior. And again, accountability. We want to talk about accountability. We're going to talk about accountability on all levels. As a person, as a pastor, as a teacher, we all have accountability. And when you take on a certain position, you're saying, I'm going to be accountable. Nonetheless, moving forward. Again, I think anger is just you finding out how to deal with it for yourself. Like Ron said, it's a lot of people dealing with anger who are out here and they just doing reckless stuff. But what about the average person who is suppressing anger, who is dealing with, who has issues that they haven't dealt with? How do you free yourself? How do you move forward? And again, it can be different for each person. It can be different for each person because part of my healing began when like I said, I heard many stories about my upbringing, why I was in foster care and things of that nature, and why my siblings weren't in foster care. But it came, and don't get it twisted, my mom's my best friend. She's my rock. She's everything. But in the same token, my healing began when I addressed it. I said, Mom, we need to talk. There was no screaming and hollering. And was I angry? Yes, I was angry. I was angry. I was hurt, stressed. It was so many different emotions. But in the same token, when we sat down and we talked, it began my process of healing. And it's an ongoing thing. I will never say, oh, I'm healed. I'm healing daily, moment by moment. And I'm learning what helps me. I'm learning what triggers me. I'm learning my strengths and I'm learning my weaknesses. And I'm accepting every aspect that is me. So again, learning how to move forward, learning how to deal with it, learning about displaced anger. So again, mental health is vital. It's vital. And don't let nobody tell you, oh, you're going to mental health, you crazy. No, it can be part of your healing. And maybe therapy isn't for you. So you have to find what works for you. Find your safe place and dwell in that so that you can move forward, so that you can heal, so that you can be a productive part of society, maybe helping someone else. Because if I hadn't started my process, I wouldn't be walking this walk of mental health. I wouldn't be trying to help others and reach out to others. And trust me, this walk started before my son took his life. No, I'm not going to say my son took his life. My therapy said suicide took my son. So it's growing, learning, helping. And that's my outlook on it. We have to learn how to heal, grow, and help each other. Reese?
I'm here. To me, we have the blueprint. It was given to us with the ABCDE. If we practice those steps, she said everything in the video that you said. The first one is A, being aware that you're angry. B, we breathing, because sometimes we don't even know that we're getting angry. But when you get aware of, you like, hold up, this is making me mad. Then we gotta breathe, which a lot of us don't do. We just go full all in on the attack. And then C, count. That's letting us get back control of our anger. That's letting us be able to pull it back, right? So when you're aware, you're breathing and you're counting and you're deep. What you talked about, you distance yourself. You put some distance between that person, right? Because sometimes you got to do that, or next thing you know, these hands will be flying. And then E, what you just said, expressing yourself. We all, me, you, Ron, we all have to express ourselves so people know, this is why I'm angry. This is what's making me angry. So we can get control over that feeling, that emotion. So if we aware, if we practice the 5 steps, being aware, breathing, counting, that's for us to get our blood pressure back down. That part.
Right.
But then we go put that distance. That's to diffuse the situation. D, because they also stands for diffuse. And that's what your whole topic was, diffusing anger. Put that distance there. Then E is expressing yourself when you're ready to talk about it. Like, hey, Ron, I didn't like what you said to me. It was offensive to me. But see, you calm down and you could come to Ron and say, Ron, instead of like, Ron, you black motherfucker, you did this to me and you did that. When you if you're not doing ABC, that's how you gonna come to Ron. And Ron gonna be like, whoa, sis, step back. If I have to knock your ass out, stuff like that. And that's when we gonna be out in public and be like, I don't care what they say, I don't care what they say. That's what we don't want to do. That's what we want to avoid. So if we make aware, if we become aware when we're angry, we breathe and we count. That's for us to get our blood pressure back down in control. You put some distance between you guys. Then E is the most vital one. It's expression. Expressing yourself, letting the people know this is what you did to offend me.
Yeah, but
And
you have to know who's approachable, because you can put your in expressing yourself. You can put yourself in that situation where that person be like, I don't give a f, and they blow up, and then there you go right back in the same position.
no, then you mark them off your list, and you know that's somebody that you don't want to even be associated with, and you
That's
keep
why
life moving.
you have to know who's approachable. You have to.
Ron,
That's why I left the plug.
don't say that.
That just being real. That just been. It's not that I'm like I'm being disgruntled or I to me, the group, the plug, it started off well, but it just and I say that I did my part with it too. You know what I'm saying? It's not gonna be like, no, I did my part, but at the same time, I thought I was dealing with adults. And to me personally, like I always say, I'm not beefing with nobody, but I just felt like I gotta move on, because sometimes we wanna attach ourselves to people so bad because we want to be wanted and accepted by people and what people think of us and what people say about us. Sometimes you have to look at it. Is this person bringing more harm or in my life, or this person bringing more peace in my life? So you in life, you have to make a decision, and that comes from close friends that you grew up with. It can come from your parents, your brother, your sister. Sometimes you have to step away from environment that's not healthy. It's not that you beefing with anybody. It's just sometimes you got to, like, I need my sanity right now, because right now we all as a collateral people, we are fighting for our peace. And right now our peace is being disturbed. And to me, I would still stand behind anybody with the plug. But sometimes you have to take yourself out of the situation to see the situation. Because sometimes we can be too close up on that mirror and not realizing that it's more harmful than being helpful. So, sometimes you have to, we get so attached that we can't see the harm or the anger that they are causing you in your life. Sometimes you just got to say, enough is enough. I can't deal with this no more. That could be for anybody. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to look at the whole scenario. Like, it might sound selfish, but this is my life. This is my peace. I got to fight for it, because we got to deal with this world every day. Every time God wake us up, we got to step out there and deal with this world. And sometimes people can hide for so long that they're your friend, to a situation come up and you really see who that person is or those people are.
Well, for me, like I said, I'm not going to allow anybody to disturb my peace. That's point blank, period. And DMX said something. He said, trust people to be who they are. So I'm one, I observe. And I say, okay, I see how that person is. I see how that person is. Now, for me, I'm not so attached to the plug that I just need somebody. I'm there because I get the love and I get the support. And I see that we have disagreements and things of that nature. But as adults, and I haven't had an issue, but as adults, it's learning how, again, to address your anger. Is learning how to address your anger, learning how to respect the other person, point blank, period. So, I mean, to each their own. You have to protect your peace the way you choose to protect your peace. But in the same token, I'm not going to throw everybody under the bus because you offended me. And like I said, sometimes people are disrespectful. But that's when you got to speak your piece and say, look, that's a no-go for me. But if you feel like you need to disconnect, do it. Because I've disconnected from family. I'm not having it, period. I'm not having it. So if you come for me, like I told somebody, I got this saying, don't come for me unless I send for you. Because life is too short. And peace is vital. And we have to learn how to get along, how to respect each other. What you think of me don't matter to me, because you ain't make me, you definitely can't break me. So with that being said, I enjoyed this show.
Devon, do you got any closing words for the show?
I just want to say, do not ever get too attached to a person to where you lose you. Because sometimes when you get too attached to a person, you end up losing yourself because of that person.
True, I agree.
Okay. I agree definitely to that too. I want to say to you guys and everybody out there that's listening to me, Bernice, I try to, like you do, I try to practice love and love everybody. And like you said, that's a peace of mind. I do get angry. I do, because I'm human. That's the
Right.
flaw in me, but at the same time that I go up, I bring it down. And everybody know that I don't stay mad for long, because you could piss me off and be a son of a bitch one day,
Mhm,
and then a
mhm.
day or two later, hey, I love you, I still love you, because the love don't change. The love is still there. If I love you from the
Exactly.
beginning, I'm going to love you to the end. I don't never run out of love. I run out of patience.
Exactly.
And that's what I tell everybody. The love is still there. I just run out of the patience. And sometimes they catch you on a bad end of it. Like, even if they joking or being their normal self, sometimes their normal self can catch you off guard, and you find it offensive. It's because you're having a bad day, or your energy is being bad from something else. And then they doing they normal, and then it catches you like, I'm tired of this. Don't do that no more. And that happened to me the other day. Not saying that I was so much that angry at that person, but I was already in turmoil trying to control my anger. And then you come, Ron, and place the last feather up there, and I broke. And that's what we do. And I apologize for my actions, for me being going that exploding. Didn't mean to explode like that, but that came from me trying to keep everything in, and a bomb got loose, boom, and
Yeah,
it.
take the time bomb. Yeah, but we are all imperfect beings. We are all imperfect beings, and learning to forgiving can be hard. It can be hard when someone has cut you deep. It can be a feel like it will never heal. But in the same token, like I said, hurt people.
That's
And
right.
so, with that being said, we just have to sometimes forgive it, and some people you're gonna have to cut off, because Bible tell us get live peaceably among men as much as possible. So some people you're just not gonna be able to live with,
Hold
but
on. I
others,
just want, I just want to say, Bernice, before you go any further. Now, I know you just quoted a scripture, but can you tell us what scripture that is so we can get edification?
I can't say I remember the exact scripture. I'm not gonna tell you that lie, but I know I've read it. My memory is off because of my chronic anemia. It affects my memory, but it's there, and I'll find it and send it to you, darling.
And if you want to listen to the Bible study Wednesday, we go over the Bible. We just go through scriptures. But anybody that want to listen in as we debunk or read through this book called the Bible is welcome to get on and listen. And Bernice heard all we do. We're not giving our opinion. We're going through and trying to figure out what does it mean that when we're reading the words that's written. And if it makes sense, or if it don't make sense, or say, hey, we need to get another book, or this not adding up. So we trying to literally study the
I'm
word so we know. So Wednesday night at 9 o'clock, anybody just want to listen in, I'm opening it up to the world. Woo, I can't believe
Well,
I said that.
I just want to say, um, this is why we have so many churches, so many idiots sitting behind that pulpit. It's because people want to dissect. They're thinking they're dissecting the word, and for real, they only decipher their foolishness, because to have understanding, you cannot just read. Anybody can read, but you have to read what you're understanding. They teach you this in elementary school. Read what do you understand what you're reading? And sometimes people may think they understand. They may have an understanding to their mind that they have an understanding. But sometimes people can misinterpret it, what them words are really saying. So this is why you need to go in prayer, deep prayer, fasting, and have clear understanding, because sometimes people will only give you their opinion, what that means.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying,
Okay.
Reese.
That's
I'm gonna give
called
you the scripture. No, before we leave, I'm gonna give you the scripture, brother. Romans 12:18. If it be possible, as much as lies in you, live peaceably with all men. There you go.
Thank you so much. And tell
You're
Google
welcome.
thank you too. And tell Google thank you too.
You're welcome. You're
And
welcome.
Google, thank you too. Okay,
Yep. So
Ron.
when my memory fails me, Google is there, the Bible is there. Thank you.
This has got to be a part two. This was a great show, but all good things come to an end. Just like this great show came to the end today. And thank you, Katina, for listening. That was Katina when it says "Get Black with Me." I think that was the tag. Get Black with Me. Thank you, Slicky, for participating. Thank you, Eve, for listening. Gerline, Anini, thank you. Molly, thank you. And is this the end of our show? We have come to the conclusion.
Yeah.
I love you. Where's our super producer? Molly, any words?